So after everything that happened with B-Mickie and Kato, he was the one to take out his own girl as Meech kills Lamar. Now of course taking down someone like Lamar was never going to be easy, and there were definitely going to be a few hurdles that Meech had to overcome to take someone like him out. And with Kato being a rat, working for Lamar this entire time, she had to go as well, even though she did tell B-Mickie that she was not loyal to the 50 boys and they were like her family. Once you snitch and once you're a rat, you really are on borrowed time, and it's only a matter of time before she ended up dead in this game. Now Lamar definitely had to go as well, for his own reasons as we all know, but it did come as a bit of a surprise that both of them were shot dead in this episode. But we're going to get to that later on in this video. But as Meech solved one problem with Lamar and Kato, he has another. Terry's done. He wants out of the game because he doesn't want to end up dead or in jail, and it also stems from the settlement offer that they received for the botched eye surgery. And also B-Mickie's been caught by Detective Bryant, not necessarily for what went down with Lamar and Kato, because he was stupid enough to keep the gun that he used to shoot J-Mo with. But we're going to be diving deep on all things episode 8, the season finale of BMF in this video. But of course, if you're new to the channel and you haven't done so already, then remember to smash the subscribe button if you want to see everything BMF and Power Universe related. And I will leave my review and recap for Power Book 2 Ghost Season 2's premiere down below. But this final episode for Season 1 of BMF kicked off with Big Meech telling us what was going on with the deal wasn't happening everywhere. They were hustling in Detroit and they were trendsetters nationwide, and the series needed to absolutely show this. And this is what Terry and Meech set out to do from the beginning. They wanted to set the trend. They wanted the clothes, the cars, the life, and they wanted to grow. They wanted to become kings of Detroit, and they wanted to get out from Pat's thumb, which they eventually did. But it was a tough road for them, and with the likes of Lamar and Kato and law enforcement making life difficult for them. But this episode started with Kato meeting Lamar, and he's definitely still feeling the effects of what happened to him in episode 7 when Tiny tried to light his ass up. And Kato makes it look like she's still working for Lamar. She convinces him by telling him that she's been sleeping with B-Mickie. What more does she want to convince him? She said that Meech will be at a repair shop on the high street and she'll scope the security to make it easy for Lamar. But as we all know from last week, Kato's done with Lamar. She wants out from under his thumb and she wanted to take him down. And she had B-Mickie waiting in the wings, ready to follow Lamar, but he was scooped up by the cops, and so was everyone else. Meech, Terry, Kato, all of them. Mars was coming down hard on the streets because of what happened with Detective Lopez's death in episode 7, but loyalty is what Meech's crew is built on. His crew's like family, and he leads from the top when he put himself on the streets to gain their respect and loyalty. And this is another reason why they're now called the Black Mafia family, which is what was born today. They're all about family and loyalty. But while they're in the holding cell, Terry questions Kato's loyalty because every time something fucked up happens, Kato's always involved, which is definitely true. The food trucks and the stash house, they're just two examples of her messing up with Meech and Terry's business. She did of course save Meech in the last episode when she killed Detective Lopez, but what do they really know about Kato? And that's why Meech starts to question her after they get released, with the police getting nothing from Meech and his crew. Even though Mars did threaten Meech, telling him that she'll bring his sister back in and put her right back in that chair, Meech wasn't fazed at all. He's definitely not someone that would snitch. But as soon as they were released, Meech wanted answers from Kato. He wanted to know what she was about and whether or not he could trust her. Now Kato tells Meech that she got wrapped up in this life because her and her mums used to get into it all the time, and when she moved in with her pops, Clifford Forday, who everybody used to call Sea Love, she used to chill with his boys and she learned everything. But of course with one of these boys being Lamar. But here's the thing, she told Meech that her dad used to be a part of a crew called the BKs, not the Delray boys. But this is when Meech knew that Kato couldn't be trusted because he knew her father used to roll with the Delray boys, which I'll come back to in a moment because they still had an issue from episode 7. Terry went to Big L to get an extension on their payment, but she wanted her money on time. They had a lot of bags that they needed to move. So they look at the east side, which was already taken up by a local crew, but that was part of Meech's play. He wanted to go straight to the boss of the east side, who was Boom, to sell their keys. But here's where he asks him if he's ever heard of Kato's dad, Sea Love, and he confirmed he wasn't a part of no BK's crew. He was definitely the Delray boys, which I'm sure Meech knew anyway. But Boom confirmed that Lamar, he was also a part of the Delray boys, and now it was adding up for Meech, which is why he starts questioning B-Mickie. He asked her if he considers her loyal, and he did initially say yeah, she's straight. But then he came clean about Kato. He told Meech about how Kato's been working with Lamar, but Meech already knew. He was just testing B-Mickie and checking all the loyalty around him and his brother. Now B-Mickie already had a plan in place to pop Lamar at the repair shop on High Street, but Lamar isn't stupid and he's crazy. even if he was battered and bruised. And speaking of him being battered and bruised, Meech did get the call on Lamar's whereabouts and how he was at his funeral parlor getting stitched up by another crazy fool who didn't even cover the dead bodies that he had in his room. He was sick as Lamar, just in a different way. And if Lamar's calling you sick in the head, then you know there's something definitely wrong with you. But by the time Meech and his crew got strapped up and entered, he was already gone. Now, he's not completely honest with Terry. He doesn't tell him about how Kato was a snitch, working for Lamar, because what Meech had planned with B-Mickie, Terry would never have been down with it. And this was definitely a double setup from Meech. They knew exactly what they were doing by sending Lamar to the repair shop, and how this would have sent him straight to Kato. And by doing so, you killed two birds with one stone. B-Mickie and Meech used Kato to get to Lamar, and Lamar pointing a gun at Kato's head wasn't exactly going to work, because Meech didn't give a shit about a rat who'd been working for him. And just before Lamar could fire at Meech, he popped him right in the stomach, and there goes Lamar. But there can be no doubts about Kato, that's for sure. This one would have been hard for B-Mickie, and just before he popped her, Kato even told her that she loved him, and so did B-Mickie. But it doesn't stop him from killing Kato, and this one definitely hurt B-Mickie. He lost the only girl that he's ever loved, but worse, this could definitely push him into giving Detective Bryant what he wants, which I'll get to in a moment. Because while all this was going down, there was something playing on Terry's mind, and not just in this episode. You could see it building and building over the last few episodes. Lucille and Charles, they've been trying to get through to Terry because they knew they had a chance with him. With Meech, they knew they had no hope. So they tried to convince Terry to leave the game behind and just go straight. One day even gave him a choice. It's either her and Terry Jr. or Meech. And with the whole settlement offer being accepted at 230k, 150 after all the fees, he was definitely considering Charles' business proposal that he put on the table, something which they did pursue in real life, so I do expect them to move forward with this business in season 2, but of course in real life Meech and Terry use it to transport their money, drugs and hide weapons, and this business, it became more of a front. And he did eventually want to take up his parents' offer as well. Just before he could get his words out, Wanda told him that she's leaving, she's taking Terry Jr., and he spent way too long making his decision, and this is what pushed Terry into wanting out from the game. He tells Meech that he's out, he's done, because he doesn't want to end up being shot again. He doesn't want to end up dead or in jail. But Meech tells him that they're hustlers, and they love making this money, which is true. Terry does definitely love it. He loves the money that comes alongside the game, but he's not quite with it with the other side of the game, which Meech is comfortable with. Now, Terry was looking at the bigger picture, which Meech couldn't see. There were consequences to this game, but Meech is so focused on the vision of becoming king of Detroit, which even the older Meech told us at the end of the episode, that when Terry walked out of the game, he just didn't want to see or hear it, and this really should have given him a pause. But as I said before, he had such a vision and focus of becoming the king of Detroit, and nobody and nothing was going to stop him, even his own brother leaving the game. But what's going to make it difficult for Meech now is because we all know Big L doesn't like to do business with Meech, and he also has another problem with B-Mickie going into season 2. B-Mickie was picked up by Detective Bryant, and he put this piece in front of him. This was the gun that had been through with him, through everything, the gun that he used to kill J-Mo with, and didn't get rid of even though he told Terry he did. Now, Detective Bryant may or may not have the evidence of him being involved with killing Lamar or Kato, but he can sure wrap him up for J-Mo's death at least, and it was definitely a stupid mistake from B-Mickie in keeping the gun. But Bryant doesn't want him, he wants Meech, and B-Mickie will have no choice but to help him. Ironically, he may be the one who turns into a snitch now. And that was BMF's season finale, which was one hell of an episode. 50 definitely didn't miss with this series, because this first season of BMF definitely brought everything. But I didn't expect them to kill both Lamar and Kato, especially because the real life Lamar and Kato are still alive, I believe. So they've gone in a different direction with these two characters. But Lamar definitely had to go for being as crazy as he was, and Kato had to go for working with the devil himself. Meech has got a few more problems going into season 2, with B-Mickie and Detective Bryant being the biggest. So let's see how loyal B-Mickie is to Meech, especially after Kato's death. But let me know all your thoughts on the season finale of BMF, drop me all your comments down below, and I will be back with a wrap up video later this week. So of course, if you're new to the channel and you haven't done so already, then remember to smash the subscribe button if you want to see everything BMF and Power Universe related. But as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.